Hey guys, Sundown here. Just give me my chapter review to My Hero Academia, or Boku no Hero Academia 280, Red Riot. Now, we've been getting fire chapters from Horikoshi for a long while now. This arc has been dope as heck. So let's get straight down into what the chapter had. Now, the first couple things we see, not really a scene, it was really, I think, just the first page. So the first thing we see is actually Kaminari. I think he's been damaged quite extensively, but he's happy to be resting his head on Yanagi's lap for now. And while that's going on, we see Juzo, who's concerned that there are other kids stuck in Dabi's flames. And I think this was put here to remind the readers, or to make sure that the readers didn't call bullshit on Kirishima, Tetsu, and the other kids rolling up later on in the chapter. So the first real scene we get, I've referred to as PTSD, because that's pretty much what it was about. Was in this scene we get to see the confident Mina actually failed to put Machia to sleep, or at least to throw her vial into his mouth. And the reason why was Machia actually speaks. He says something, and when Machia speaks, she recognizes his voice as the guy that attacked her and her friends when she was younger. We got this flashback, I think, from Kirishima when must have been quite a while ago now. And mind you, Machia has gone through some mad puberty since then, judging by his size. I mean, back then he was about 3 times, maybe 4 times the size of Mina, and now he's a giant, bro. He stood above trees easily. The trees don't even come to his knees. Machia is huge, so he's gone through a major growth spurt. But Mina hears his voice and freezes for a couple seconds mid-throw. You see some tears come to her eyes, causing her vial to slip out of her hands, and then she panics to regain control over the vial, and she starts panicking big time. Apparently, a lot of people drew issue with this. I think it was fine for me. I didn't think there was anything wrong with Mina kind of failing at this point. Now you have to remember, Mina hesitates and becomes scared when she realizes she's face to face with someone who tried to kill her, or at least tried to kill her colleagues or her friends when in the past. This is someone who she's dealt with before and who she has a fear of. Kind of internally, it's never had to come to the fore before because she hasn't seen him again, but she did this time. And when she's fighting some random villain, she has confidence in her abilities and no real reason to fear the villain besides news reports or anything like that. And in this one situation, she's face to face with someone who filled her with fear the last time she stood up to him, and someone who made her feel inadequate. And here she is, looking him dead in the eye again. So that's why I don't really draw too much of an issue with it. I'll come back to that when we speak a little bit more on Kirishima, but let's go to the next scene. So the next scene is actually Machia activating his one brain cell that he has. I think he might actually be a little bit more intelligent than we think now. In this scene, Machia deliberates with himself as to the shortest path to Shigaraki, and I thought this was pretty funny. He's in a pinch. He's got Mountain Lady on his back, just pulling open his mouth. The League of Villains about being attacked on his back, and what the hell is that on his back? And he's just thinking to himself, yeah, I made the wrong choice. Maybe, rather than run through these guys, I should have just put them all down. And this is actually what triggers Mina's PTSD. He's like, oh yeah, I should have. I just need to kick the shit out of you guys. And to be honest, if I heard someone with Machia's size and strength and his face say that to me, to be honest, I'd shit myself too. And he shows again how much of a beast he is, grabbing Mountain Lady by the head and just flinging her away like trash. And I was shook here because I thought, oh my god, he's gonna squish Mountain Lady's head in his hand. She's gonna be dead. It's gonna be a really sudden, but not even a heroic death. She's just gonna die. That's the way it's gonna be. But it didn't turn out to be like that. I feel like Mountain Lady looks like she's lost consciousness here. She kind of deserves a nap. And if she gets up from this, she might actually be killed. She's in no state to continue. Machia then tries to crush Mina, who fumbles for her vial, like I was saying before. And the fact that Machia actually took this second to think really shows that he could be more dangerous than we gave him credit for. His thinking still seems to follow the shonen trope of the brawny guy comes up with the violent, straightforward, simple solutions. The archetype for this, I think, is Zaraki Kenpachi. How are we going to fix this? I'll just cut them, or I'll just hit them harder, stuff like that. But the fact that he chose the better option in a tough situation, this is Machia, means he has some level of critical thinking, which is dangerous to the heroes. So then the next scene, and really actually not the final scene, I think it's the penultimate scene, it was what I've referred to as Red Riot. This was beautiful. As Mina basically prepares for her death, she's pushed aside by Kirishima in his unbreakable form. This brings Kirishima's arc of feeling fear to a close, I think, when he was younger, he hated himself for not rushing in to save the girls and Mina from what was a younger Machia by a couple years. And now he rushed through fire and flames and leapt head first into danger in order to save Mina, but also to kind of stay true to his words of, I'll never be that much of a coward again. And I really, really liked this kind of close to Kirishima's arc. You know, it wasn't even that he was a coward per se. You know, when your knees start to buckle in the face of an absolute power, someone like Machia, you can feel that kind of that energy from them, that danger from them. I wouldn't necessarily call that cowardice. That's just kind of instinct at that point. You're just like, oh shit, you know you're gonna fail, and continuing to try in the face of 100% failure. There's no other choice. Some would say that's insanity rather than courageousness. But I really, really like the fact that Kirishima here actually manages to pull himself together. There's not even a hint or a consideration of saving himself or that cowardice. He's abandoned that side of him. He's become so much more. And the parallels we see here, the growth from Kirishima, it was awesome. As I said before, I'm not disappointed in Mina because she's had a lot less field experience in comparison to Kirishima too, you know, when he had his time with Fat Gum. And if anything, this means we get to see a more motivated Mina in the future, and this is the beginning of her own character arc of growth. So I'm looking forward to that. But this was not the end of Kirishima. He uses his sharpened fingers to scale up Machia's arm and then throws his vial towards Machia's mouth. I was shook actually when Toga smashed his vial with a knife. I was like, no, you little bitch, what's your problem? But Kirishima actually shows exactly how much of a badass he is by spinning around, obscuring everyone's line of sight towards his pouch thing, or it might even be a shirt that he has wrapped around his, I don't know what it is, around his waist, where he pulls out Mina's vial of sedative. So even though Mina herself didn't succeed, she definitely didn't fail, like I said before, through and through this combined effort. Kirishima throws this vial, Mina's vial, into Machia's mouth where it crunches and he swallows it. Tokage then grabs a hold of Kirishima as the other kids who were holding Machia down fire cannons at Machia. The cannons were no doubt a result of Yaomomo, but she's also in the flames producing flameproof gear. I feel like she should have been the size of like a sumo, because her quirk is using the adipose tissue, using the fat deposits she has. She creates things. That's the whole idea behind her quirk. So she's been creating stuff like, she's been creating bombs, she's been creating ropes, she's been creating a whole bunch of different shit, the sedative, a whole bunch of that. She's been creating cannons. I really feel like that's a lot of fat that would have been required to create all that shit. She should have been like sumo sized or super sized with all the stuff that she's been producing. And it turns out actually that Yaomomo is speaking to Majestic through an earpiece, telling him to get to Machia, and telling him to get Machia moving as well to promote the spread of the sedative through his body. You know, as you move, your body pumps blood around your heart pumps blood around your body. The more movement you have, the more your heart works, so it improves that circulation. And that's what she's trying to get Machia to do. She's trying to get him to improve the circulation, get all the sedative spread out, knock him the heck out. And we then actually see Majestic, who looks pretty cool, this magician-looking-ish guy with some rings behind him and rings behind all the other heroes which are with him, flying through the air. The other heroes being Gang Orca, Fat Gum, Sun Eater, and a few other guys. So this is quite a squad. I mean, Gang Orca, I thought he was going to get wrecked when we saw him the last time with that. I think he was going to fight against the dude with the holes in his cheeks and stuff like that. But while this is happening, Machia seems to prepare himself for war by taking off his rocky jaw protection thing, revealing his bottom jaw for the first time. And I was like, why? What advantage will that provide? I have no idea, but Machia seems to know what he's doing. So then the final scene. Here we see Endeavor looking down on a beaten and bloodied Shigaraki. He tells him that someone without ideals would never be able to crush the heroes, to which Shigaraki replies, he used to have ideals. But the way he said it makes it seem like he's going to say, but now I don't. And I'm just like, yeah, that's basically what he just said. Are you going to expand on that? I assume he's going to say something surprising. Now, Shigaraki also mentions here how these so-called heroes hurt their own families in order to help complete strangers, which a lot of people were saying rang true of Endeavor and was kind of prodding the sore spot. But for Endeavor, I didn't feel like this was completely aimed towards him, or as if it was something that would ring 100% true of him, because his whole thing wasn't that he was hurting his family or putting his family in danger in order to help civilians. His whole thing was he hurt his family in the pursuit of being the best, in the pursuit of being better than All Might in particular. And part of this, I suppose, would have shown itself in helping people. That's how it would have manifested. But I guarantee that was never a motivating factor for Endeavor when he was the Endeavor that was ruining his family, and not the Endeavor he's become now. Now, with that, the chapter ends. I can almost guarantee both Machia and Shigaraki are about to go apeshit, pushing the heroes back and possibly escaping by the skin of their teeth. If they get to a point where they're actually clapping the heroes, I'd be like, you were all looking like you were at death's door. Now you're fighting everyone off. I wouldn't be happy about that. I think they really need to escape at this point, especially because I want to see more of I want to see repercussions of Shigaraki's only reaching 70 or 70-ish%. I'm disappointed Endeavor hasn't just killed Shigaraki. I get that they're heroes. I get that they can get a whole bunch more information, or a whole bunch of information from Shigaraki if they imprison him in Tartarus or whatever it was called. But at this point, when he's on the ground and bleeding, just kill him. It would save everyone a lot of misery going forward, but that's just not how shonens work. So let me know what you guys thought of this chapter. Let me know what you guys thought of this review. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in a bit.